So I've dedicated an entire section of my teaching, Basic Home Staging 101, to educating your seller. There are many reasons for that, and I'm going to go over the specific benefits and just share a little bit about those benefits with you. First of all, you as a real estate agent, you are the professional. You need to know your facts. I've provided several facts from different sources on home staging. So I want to encourage you, learn those, know those, so that when you go in and you're talking with your potential seller or your client, you are solid and confident in this information. Because when you introduce home staging, you know, let's face it, we all kind of like our homes the way that they are. So it can be difficult for a seller to even understand or recognize that they might need some help. When we make our homes the way we like them, it appeals to us, but it may not appeal to potential buyers. So that will help you. So know your facts. Okay, second, educate your seller on the benefits of home staging. If you take time with them and even maybe give them some praise reports at times where home staging has worked, you could even take them through MLS, show them the difference between a listing that is staged and a listing that is not staged. Here's one of my favorites. I go back when I come into a situation and someone's had their house on the market for a year. I go look at those old MLS photos and I pull those up and I look at them and I can pretty much tell you right there the reason that house is not sold is because it was not staged. It did not attract the buyer on the internet, and it certainly didn't grab them when they walked in. So I can show them even from a past listing. Here's a before, here's an after. I just staged a house that was on the market for 124 days, priced right, beautiful home. We staged it, we got the pictures loaded that night. The next morning, there were 2 showings scheduled. The first people to walk through the door on that house put in an offer. So those are types of things that you can do to educate your seller. Then they're not trying to, you're not trying to convince them on your opinion, but you're showing them things where they can start to make the decision for yourself or for themselves. So the reason for that is twofold. First of all, it helps you as an agent to have a better chance to have success with that listing to get that house sold. But second, you actually want to set the stage. If you're not doing the staging yourself, you really don't want to have to pick up the bill for that. And it helps to set the stage that there is value in this, and they will come forth and probably pay for that home staging. Third, the other benefit that's really important is when you go through staging a home, you help them to get committed that they are going to sell the home. I have story after story on this. Probably one of my favorites is when I was called in to stage a home. It was a couple that were in their 80s. And I am telling you, it was a huge house, about, 6,800 square feet. They had lived there for about 40 years. Oh my goodness, that house had everything in it for 40 years. So the agent was really smart. They brought me in to meet with the client to go through and show them the benefits of staging, to walk through what would be necessary to get their house in a position to sell. And guess what? The whole family got together on this, started boxing things up, selling things, helping to sort of, my mom says this, shovel out to actually get their house in a position to sell. Do you know, the family had mixed feelings about that house being sold, but as we got them involved in the process, everybody became committed to getting that house sold. All right, so know the facts, educate your seller. It helps them get committed. And why do we want to help them get committed? It helps them detach. When you start going through the process that I just described, that seller is no longer seeing themselves living in that home. Do you know that? They've invested time, they've invested energy. It helps to get their mindset on this house is going to sell. So they get a little detached from a perspective of being getting offended. Sometimes you'll see that, like sellers get offended because people come in with comments and they don't like their house. So it sort of puts them in a position that's really no longer their taste. It was my taste as a stager. So where that comes into play for you and gives you some of the biggest benefit as an agent is when it comes to negotiation. So if they get an offer in, maybe it's not exactly where they wanted it, but it's a good offer. They are already detached and looking at themselves, moving on to the next place. So they are much more stable. They are much more financially focused. They're more reasonable when you bring that offer to the table. So quick review, you need to know the facts, educate your seller, get your seller committed through staging, and then you reap the benefit through negotiation.